like lambs to slaughter.
How can you doubt God? Look how far he's brought us!
Yes, look how far! Through a desert to a wilderness! We've seen brother kill brother because of the golden calf! Every step of the way he has tested us! Over and over!
There's a weird phenomenon I've noticed all throughout my life where the more I subject myself to discomfort, the happier I am. I think this phenomenon became increasingly apparent to me in first year of university, where I wanted to make the best impression possible. You know, typical freshman behavior. It's a new school, new network of people, new city. So I really felt a need to reinvent who I was as a human being. So in order to do that, I was forcing myself outside of my comfort zone so frequently, it's as if it was some sort of game. It's like I was able to peel back a layer of reality and see some sort of one-to-one relationship between subjecting myself to discomfort and upgrading who I was as a human being. And I was definitely onto something because I felt incredible. I was energetic, optimistic. I remember waking up in the morning not being tired because I was ready to tackle the day with energy. I never forgot how I felt, and I remember the importance of viewing the comfort zone and the effect it has on your overall well-being and the way you live your life. Running is good for you. After a week of running every day, you can find that your mental energy increases, your outlook on life is better and more optimistic. All the comfort zone is concerned with is keeping you inside of it. And the way it does that is not only does it make sure that things outside of it are really uncomfortable and hard to do, it's also always shrinking if you don't do anything about it. Unless you venture at least a little bit beyond the borders of the comfort zone, it will get smaller and harder to escape. And this is something that most people have experienced in their lives, whether they are aware of it or not. In my own life, this happens all the time. Like when Halo 5 came out a few years ago, I spent so much time just playing it for hours and hours every day, eating Doritos Sweet Chili Heat and drinking Mountain Dew like a real gamer. And after days of doing this, binging a video game, and not doing anything outside of my comfort zone, things that were previously just on the edge of my comfort zone, like going to the gym, the comfort zone shrank to a point where going to the gym was now extremely difficult and very hard to bring myself to do. You may have also experienced this type of thing where maybe you're on vacation and it's sort of one of those sit around and don't really do much vacations. You're kind of on your phone a lot, on a couch, maybe the weather's really nice, and you start to become soft. You know, you don't really want to do many interesting things or very hard things or anything that will take much effort. You kind of just become a blob and you feel pathetic. Okay, so what have we learned? We've learned that in order to keep the comfort zone from shrinking, we have to do things that are outside of the comfort zone to keep the comfort zone large. Figure out what kind of person you want to be, what kind of traits you want to adopt, what kind of skills you want to learn, and make your decisions based off of that. And using the knowledge of the comfort zone, be aware that any potential discomfort in the way of doing the thing that you want to do isn't a real obstacle. It's all just in your head. If you live life this way, the comfort zone can also work in your favor, because as you start living this new lifestyle that may have at first been unnatural to you, the longer you live that way, the comfort zone is expanding to meet you. So living the way you want to live will become increasingly natural and, dare I say, comfortable. So to bring this whole thing back to my freshman year, it's becoming clear to me that the reason I felt so good wasn't necessarily because I was just uncomfortable all the time. The reason I felt so good was because I was living the life that I wanted to live, and I disregarded discomfort altogether. And when you no longer let discomfort have a say in how you make any of your decisions, the potential for what you can do with your life expands dramatically.
My favorite phrase in the movie is in the coach's office when Grant says, "I'm so tired of average."
I'm so sick of average seasons.
You know, if we're going to do something, let's do it with excellence or let's get out of the game.
My idea to become a Navy SEAL was me on my couch at 297 pounds with a box of mini donuts and a chocolate milkshake. It wasn't like it was like some eureka moment. Over a period of time of just living in my own head, I got sick of being haunted by being nobody. I gained 125 pounds. I get out of the Air Force and I'm working for a job spraying for cockroaches. 40 restaurants I was in charge of. I go in there at nighttime and I spray. I would stop at Steak and Shake, get a large chocolate milkshake. I would go across the street to 7-Eleven, get a box of mini donuts. On the way home, I'd be popping donuts like Tic Tacs. I would get home, turn the TV on. This is my routine. Start taking a shower and listen to the TV as I'm showering. This particular day, I started hearing Navy SEALs, toughest training. And I was hearing it cut out between the water hitting my ears. So I came out of the shower. At the end of the show, this commanding officer gives a speech. He says, "We live in a society where mediocrity is often rewarded." These 22 men detest mediocrity. Over a period of time of just living in my own head, I got sick of being haunted by being nobody. I invented this thing called the accountability mirror when I was growing up. And I got a chance to go into that mirror and look at myself and call myself out. I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that. Being raw and real about who I am and about what I'm hiding from. And so to overcome all this, my bright idea was to try to become the one thing I was afraid of, a Navy SEAL. That day, I started calling recruiters up. And for 2 weeks, this happened. This recruiter laughed at me, that recruiter laughed at me, this recruiter said, "There's no way." And every time I heard a no, I said, "No, it's not meant to be." So I get back in my car and start driving back to work. And after I'd be at work for a few hours, man, I said, "Man, you can't give up that easy." So I finally said, "This is my last call I'm gonna make." He was real busy. He said, "Just come on in." People don't walk in the office trying to be a Navy SEAL weighing 297 pounds. You walk in looking the way I look now. So he brought me back to a scale, and I remember looking in front of me was a height weight chart. For me, I'm 6'1". I could only weigh 191. I had to lose 106 pounds in less than 3 months. So I went on this crazy routine and eating hardly nothing. And in less than 3 months, I lost 106 pounds. I have severe stress fractures. My knee is now blown up again. I made a decision to myself, there's no more quitting. So that's when I went and got duct tape. For the first 45 minutes, the duct tape hurt. But after 45 minutes, my legs would go numb. Once stuff goes numb, you can't feel it. So that's how I went through the rest of 22 more weeks of Navy SEAL training. I was already at rock bottom my whole life. So when you know how rock bottom feels, you don't mind sleeping in the sewer. So at that point, once I realized that I already experienced the bottom, I no longer had fear of failure. But this took a long time. It's one like I woke up and, oh, eureka, I got it. And I started realizing that the mind is the most powerful weapon that we have. Once I was able to quiet my mind and realize that I was really not cursed, but blessed to have so many tools that I never saw as tools. While growing up, so much hardship. Every day of my entire life, I lived like it was day one, week one of BUD/S. So I prioritize trying to win the battle in the morning. So I always win the battle in the morning. So I get morning time, every morning I go for a run. That's the first thing I do every morning. Haven't taken a day off of running since December 2016. About 4 days a week I'm in the gym hitting the weights. Because you know you can't just be a runner. So this is every single day. But this is what builds discipline.
What are some of the most valuable things you learned in the Navy, be it about yourself or?
You know what? Some of the most valuable things, a lot of people say teamwork and stuff like that. Teamwork is big. But I learned that you have to be a good individual first. You have to triple down on your weaknesses, because a lot of times, like, you always count on your buddy next to you to help you out. Sometimes that buddy's not going to be there. You got to work on yourself every single day. And that's one thing that the military has to really triple down on, is something that we're missing nowadays a lot, is that total accountability of every day going back to boot camp in your mind. You may have grabbed, boot camp sucks. SEAL training sucks. All these things suck, and people are so happy to get out of it, but that's what makes you good. Remember how you were when you got out of boot camp and it slowly goes away. You get comfortable, you start to sag a little bit, start to walk around. You start to lose that militant discipline. That's the one thing I learned not to do in the military, is the military teaches you these great codes, ethics, morals, values. You gotta continue to work on those. Like everything, it's a muscle. You stop going to the gym, you stop running, you get weak. The military teaches you these great values of strength and honor and code and all these other things. But what we do is we don't keep up the discipline of all that stuff, and we lose it. So the one thing I learned is to not lose that thing, that boot camp, SEAL training, whatever you go to, whatever your A school is, whatever it is, keep that discipline up. That's the biggest thing.
Sich nochmal nach vorne gearbeitet und ist völlig entkräftet, schafft es gar nicht mehr über die Ziellinie, der muss noch ein paar Meter und von hinten kommt der Nächste, da muss er jetzt rüber und der krabbelt übers Ziel, das ist ja Drama pur, aber er hat es gerade noch so geschafft, Michael Gunyuga, der Mann mit
And then, for sure, it was game over when the Falcons scored to make it 28-3 with 8:31 left in the third quarter.
It made people think like Tom Brady has fallen off a cliff and it's over.
Well, the Patriot fans, except for the most part, I imagine, it's stunned silence.
As owner of the New England Patriots with his son, Jonathan Kraft, to his left, our right, he has never experienced anything like this in a Super Bowl.
Tom Brady was down 28-3.
That a lot of people thought in the first half, well, it's over. No, it's not, because they have Captain America. And this is what he does. He finds a way to win games.
There have been 7 comebacks of 25 points or more in NFL history. 15,000 games, only 7.
And we are at the 2-minute warning.
We'll be talking about this game for 30, 40.
On first down, Brady underneath, finds White. White down inside the 10.
I've never seen anything like this. What I saw last night may be the greatest performance I've ever seen.
And again, the Patriots are down by the 28-3 score.
Pass is caught. Tackle is
At some point in your life, you're going to have to face the facts. This man has not only eclipsed Joe Montana, he's eclipsed the greatest Michael Jordan as a clutch player.
And I'm not surprised at all they're going for it here on 4th down. They're on 46, down by 25. Has a man. first down. Big conversion, Amendola.
We said, oh, this game is over. First quarter.
Brady flushed out. Will run and get it.
And then here comes Brady.
He doesn't have the strongest arm, but he's got the greatest will and pre-snap, drive, focus, endurance, discipline, efficiency. Things that don't sell on the Kardashian show, but things that provide him with an edge on every other competitor.
I wasn't even saying that we were coming back. I was, maybe they'll make it a little respectable. I don't know.
Touchdown!
He is the greatest quarterback that has ever played.
That's the GOAT, like the GOAT all time. Not just any position, every position.
From 28-3 on, I just can't imagine another quarterback who could have done that.
There's the ball to the Patriots. This is a big two-point conversion here to really apply the pressure on the Falcons. They were 1 for 2 during the regular season on 2 points.
Imagine this rope, okay, pretend this rope just goes on forever. Now imagine that this rope is a timeline of your existence. You just exist forever. You see this red part? This would represent your time on earth. You've got a few short years here on earth, and then you've got all of eternity somewhere else. And what blows me away is some of you, all you think about is this red part. It's all you think about. You're consumed with this. You go, oh man, I can't wait till here. You know, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to save so I can really enjoy this part right here. And you're consumed with that. And you're thinking, oh man, am I going to get to travel? Am I going to eat well? Am I going to do this during this part? And I'm like, are you kidding me? What about this? What about all this stuff? That's just, it's crazy to me because the Bible teaches that what I do during this little red part determines how I'm going to exist for millions and millions and millions of years forever. And so why would I spend this little red part trying to make myself as comfortable as possible, enjoying myself as much as I can? Paul says, look, I'm going to live my life for this mission. I'm going to spend my life, invest my life for this moment when I cross that finish line. See, I'm going to forget about all this stuff I could enjoy, and I'm not going to look around. I'm going to be like a runner, just looking at that moment when I face God, because when I face Him, then I don't get this chance over again. We get one chance at this life on earth, and it can end at any second for any of us. We've got one chance at this, and then comes eternity. Here's see people look at some of my decisions and go, oh, you're so stupid because that's going to really affect this. I go, no, you're stupid because that's going to affect all of this. Man, I'm serious. I look at the way people live and I go, wow, that is so crazy. You are so crazy. You're going to do that right now, just to enjoy right now, not even knowing if you have tomorrow, and you think that's smart and that I'm dumb?
I grew up in a Christian home, and this was hanging over the sink in the kitchen from the time I was a tiny little child. And every morning, I would get up and run into the kitchen, and there it would be. Only one life, 'twill soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. Which communicated to me over the years as a child, you can waste your life. You can really waste it. It was built into my heart as a little child. Don't waste it. My dad told the story, one of the most moving I can remember as a little kid, sitting, hearing my father preach as an evangelist. And my father's eyes could really blaze in preaching. He always began the sermon with a joke, but it wasn't very long before his eyes were blazing and he was telling stories that would make you cringe. And one of them was a revival meeting in which, at the end of the meeting, an old man that everybody had been praying for decades evidently walked to the front, I think aged something like 78, and just wept and wept and wept as my father sat beside him on the pew. And all he could say was, I've wasted it, I've wasted it, I've wasted it. When I heard my dad tell that story, and I heard it numerous times, and I remembered that plaque, I felt with every fiber of my being, I will not waste it. You get one crack, and there's no replay. And you can throw it away, or the opposite. I'm 58, almost, a couple of weeks, and the river of my life is really flowing fast over the precipice of my days. And I don't have any idea how long the Lord may give me. And my zeal not to waste my life is as alive today as it's ever been, perhaps more so because it feels so short before I stand before the judge, King Jesus, and give an account of my life. What a tragedy in America. This is one of the biggest tragedies in our culture, that billions of dollars are invested every year to get people my age to waste the rest of our lives. Billions of dollars invested to persuade us and lure us at any cost, it seems, to waste the rest of our lives. It's called retirement. And in some it goes like this: you've worked for it, now enjoy it. 20 years, perhaps, of play, leisure, ease, while the world, uncared for medically, uneducated, filthy water, poverty-stricken, unevangelized, sinks under the weight of healthy 65-year-old people playing bridge and shuffleboard and collecting shells and fishing and golfing their way into the presence of King Jesus. And you know what? You're going to join them unless at this stage in your life you make some very radical decisions, very radical commitments, very radical choices about where your treasure is. Do not assume you won't be sucked in, because every stage of your life in this Disneyland called America, there are powerful forces angling to get you to waste your lives. For many of you are totally enslaved. And I pray on the way to being set free.
We sail for Troy in 3 days. This war will never be forgotten, nor will the heroes who fight in it.
Do you know what's there? Waiting beyond that beach. Immortality! Take it! It's yours!
man wants to die.
Whatever gain I had, I counted as loss for the sake of Christ. Indeed, I count everything as loss because of the surpassing worth of knowing Christ Jesus my Lord. For His sake, I have suffered the loss of all things and count them as rubbish in order that I might gain Christ. How does Paul make Christ look great? Answer: by experiencing Christ as such a treasure that everything else in his life is as nothing by comparison. I count everything, money, as loss, food as loss, looks as loss, friends as loss, family as loss, job and success as loss, graduation as loss, in comparison with the treasure that Christ has become for me.
The most memorable illustration and the most powerful sermon from one of the most influential Christian leaders of our time. John Piper's sermon, boasting only in the cross of Christ, sent waves through a rising generation of Christians, and we still feel its impact around the globe today. The sermon turned moneymakers into missionaries, American dreamers into cross-bearers, and lovers of the world into lovers of Jesus.
I'm old enough to be the father of almost everybody on the grass. And I speak to you as the father perhaps that you never had. And I speak to you perhaps as the father that you did have who never had a vision for you. Or maybe the father that you had who has a vision for you, and it's all about money and it's all about status. Unchanging, eternal things, and be gripped by them and be willing to lay down your life for them, which is why anybody in this crowd can make a worldwide difference, because it isn't you. It's what you're gripped with. But one of the really sad things about this moment right now is that there are hundreds of you in this crowd who do not want your life to make a difference. All you want is to be liked. Maybe finish school, get a good job, find a husband or a wife, a nice house, a nice car, good vacations, grow old healthy, have a fun retirement, die easy, no hell. And that's all you want. You don't give a rip whether your life counts on this earth for eternity. And that's a tragedy in the making. That is a tragedy in the making. About 3 weeks ago, we got news at our church that Ruby Eliason and Laura Edwards were killed in Cameroon. Ruby Eliason, over 80, all her life, a nurse, poured her life out for one thing: to make Jesus Christ known among the sick and the poor in the hardest and most unreached places. Laura Edwards, a medical doctor in the Twin Cities, and then in retirement, partnering up with Ruby, also pushing 80, and going from village to village in Cameroon. And the brakes give way. Over a cliff they go, and they're dead instantly. And I asked my people, is this a tragedy? Two women in their 80s, almost, a whole life devoted to one idea: Jesus Christ magnified among the poor and the sick in the hardest places. And 20 years after most of their American counterparts had begun to throw their lives away on trivialities in Florida and New Mexico, fly into eternity with a death in a moment. Is this a tragedy, I asked? It is not a tragedy. I'll read you what a tragedy is. I've got a little article here from Reader's Digest. This is a tragedy. Title of the article: Start Now, Retire Early. February 1998. Bob and Penny took early retirement from their jobs in the Northeast 5 years ago when he was 59 and she was 51. Now they live in Punta Gorda, Florida, where they cruise on their 30-foot trawler, play softball, and collect shells. That's a tragedy. That's a tragedy, and there are people in this country that are spending billions of dollars to get you to buy it. And I get 40 minutes to plead with you, don't buy it. With all my heart, I plead with you, don't buy that dream. The American dream. A nice house, a nice car, a nice job, a nice family, a nice retirement. As the last chapter, before you stand before the Creator of the universe to give an account with what you did. Here it is, Lord, my shell collection. Look, Lord, my shell collection. And look at my boat. God, look at my boat, God. Well, not for Ruby and not for Laura. Don't waste your life. Don't waste it.
Piper holds up the American dream and he tests it against the light of eternity and the judgment of Christ, and it fails miserably. He takes a respectable part of the American dream, a long, leisurely retirement, and he shows it to be nothing short of foolishness. He shows that it's evidence of a dream that is far, far too small. In this way, he brings a whole generation to a fork in the road. They want both the American dream and authentic faith, but now he forces them to choose. They can choose comfort and success and prosperity and waste their lives, or they can choose Christ and experience the glory of making their life count for Jesus. But either way, they have to make a choice. They can't do nothing. It's impossible to objectively measure the influence of Piper's sermon, but many have argued it may be one of the most important sermons in our generation. Personally, I don't think there's any doubt. Countless Christian leaders point to Piper's sermon at Passion One Day 2000 as the turning point in their lives. Some were there that day, some watched the video later. Some encountered the message in Don't Waste Your Life, the book that was based on the sermon. But one way or another, they saw the fork in the road that Piper presented. Standing there, they looked down one road and saw the folly of the American dream. They looked down the other road and they saw the beauty of Jesus. They chose in that moment to make their lives count. The message of the shells lives on. Shortly after the shells illustration, Piper condensed his main point to a short rhyme that was first written by C.T. Studd.
Only one life, 'twill soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. 48 years I've seen that almost every day of my life. And I am here to plead with you to make your life count for the cross.